The mockery. The great chamber of the Galactic Council stretched vast and glittering, filled with delegates from 100 worlds. Light filtered through crystalline domes, casting rainbow shadows across the marble floor. At the center podium stood Tavrin, a young historian whose scales shimmered nervously under the harsh illumination. "The signals are real," he insisted, his voice steady despite the murmurs rippling through the crowd. "I have traced 17 transmissions over the past cycle, all carrying the same linguistic markers. The humans are not extinct." Laughter erupted from the upper galleries. Council Speaker Morthak rose from his throne-like seat, his six-jointed frame towering over the assembly. His voice dripped with condescension as he addressed the chamber. "Another generation, another fool who claims to have found humanity's ghost." Morthak's mandibles clicked in amusement. "The humans destroyed themselves fighting petty wars. They vanished 4 centuries ago, leaving nothing but ruins and cautionary tales. This council will not waste resources chasing children's fantasies." The delegates applauded, their various forms of approval filling the air with clicks, chirps, and harmonic tones. Tavrin felt heat rise through his body, but he refused to back down. "Speaker Morthak, if you would simply examine the data—" "Enough!" Morthak's voice boomed. "Return to your archives, historian. Let the dead remain buried." As Tavrin gathered his documents with trembling appendages, an old voice cut through the jeering crowd. "I would hear what the young scholar has found." The chamber fell silent. Captain Drevik emerged from the shadows of a side entrance, his scarred carapace telling stories of ancient battles. He moved slowly, one limb damaged from injuries that had never fully healed. Every delegate knew his reputation. Drevik had fought in the last confirmed engagement with human forces. Morthak's confidence wavered slightly. "Captain, surely you do not give credence to—" "I fought them once," Drevik interrupted, his voice rough like grinding stone. "I watched their ships tear through our formations. I saw how they refused surrender even when bleeding. If this historian says they live, I will not laugh." Tavrin felt a surge of gratitude, but Drevik's support only earned more mockery from the younger delegates who had never known war. They saw only an old soldier clinging to bygone glories. "The council has spoken," Morthak declared with finality. "Humanity is extinct. This session is concluded." As the chamber emptied, Tavrin approached Drevik in the corridor outside. The captain studied him with ancient eyes. "What did you really find, young one?" Tavrin pulled up a holographic display. 3 ships vanished near Sector 9 last month. Before they disappeared, their final transmissions contained this. A sound played, faint, buried in static, but unmistakable. A rhythm, a pattern, words in a language no living species used. Drevik's expression darkened. "They are preparing something. The galaxy should listen." "But they won't," Tavrin whispered. "No." Drevik agreed, staring into the distance. "They won't. Not until it's too late." Far beyond the council's glittering halls and the cold silence between stars, something vast stirred in the darkness. Waiting, watching, ready. The Whisper Admiral Chorus stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Valor, watching stars drift past the viewport. His fleet of 30 warships moved in perfect formation through the outer rim, sent by the council to end the foolish rumors once and for all. "Admiral, we're approaching the coordinates where the last patrol vanished," Officer Nella reported from her station. She was young, her crimson skin still bright with youth. "Untouched by the weight of true combat. Maintain scanning protocols," Chorus ordered. His 4 arms crossed behind his back in a posture of absolute confidence. "We'll find debris, perhaps some pirate activity." Nothing more. But even as he spoke, doubt gnawed at him. The silence in this sector felt wrong, too complete, too heavy. Space was never truly empty, yet here the usual background radiation seemed muted, as if something absorbed it. Hours passed. The fleet drifted through fields of dead asteroids and dying stars. Then Nella's voice cracked through the quiet. "Admiral, contact bearing 270. It's massive." Chorus moved to her station, studying the readings. His confidence drained away like water through open fingers. The object measured 3 times the length of his flagship. Its energy signature was unlike anything in the galactic database. All ships to battle stations. Weapons ready. The fleet transformed, shields activating in cascading waves of light. Chorus watched as the shadow emerged from behind a broken moon, a vessel of dark metal and ancient design, its surface scarred by forgotten wars, yet humming with terrible power. "Hail them," Chorus commanded, his voice betraying the first hint of uncertainty. Nella sent the transmission. "Unknown vessel, you are trespassing in Council-protected space. Identify yourself immediately." Silence answered. "Send it again." Still nothing. The massive ship continued its slow approach, engines glowing like dying suns. Chorus felt sweat bead on his forehead despite the controlled atmosphere. Fire a warning shot across their bow. A lance of plasma streaked through space, blazing past the alien vessel. For a moment nothing happened. Then the ship moved, not frantically, but with deliberate precision. Its weapons ports opened like awakening eyes. What followed happened too fast for thought. Brilliant beams of concentrated energy lashed out, and 3 of Chorus's warships simply ceased to exist. No explosions, no debris field, just instantaneous vaporization, evasive maneuvers. Chorus screamed, "All ship, scatter formation!" But panic had already seized his fleet. Ships broke formation, firing wildly. The human vessel moved through them like death incarnate, each shot precise, each strike absolute. Chorus watched his command fall apart in minutes. "Admiral, shields at 15%. Nella creed, tears streaming down her face. Chorus gripped his command chair as another blast rocked the eternal valor. Through the chaos, he saw the human ship clearly now, ancient markings on its hull, symbols he recognized from historical archives. His blood turned cold. "Send an emergency transmission to the Council," he ordered. "Tell them the humans live. Tell them we were wrong." Nella's hands flew across her console as another devastating blast tore through nearby ships. The transmission launched into space just as the human vessel turned its full attention to the flagship. Chorus looked at his young officer, seeing fear mirror his own. "I'm sorry," he whispered. The final blast hit like divine judgment. The eternal valor shattered, its pieces scattering across the void. Only 4 ships escaped, burning their engines to maximum as they fled into the darkness. Behind them, the massive human warship drifted back into silence, as if the destruction of an entire fleet had been nothing more than a casual demonstration. In the vast emptiness of space, no one heard the screams. But the message had been sent. The galaxy would soon know the truth. The awakening, in a star system erased from every map. A world of ash and iron circled a dying sun. Above it, massive structures floated in the void. Shipyards that had slumbered for 4 centuries, now blazing with renewed life. Commander Marcus Reeves stood at the observation deck of Station Prometheus, watching the rebirth unfold. His weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass as thousands of workers moved across the hulls of sleeping giants, bringing them back from dormancy. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" a soft voice said beside him. Marcus turned to see Sophia Winters, chief engineer of the Resurrection Project. Her dark hair was pulled back, revealing the sharp intelligence in her eyes and the exhaustion that came from years of endless work. "Beautiful and terrifying," Marcus replied. "We're about to change everything." Sophia moved closer, her shoulder nearly touching his. In the reflection, they watched as the largest vessel, the Prometheus Ascendant, ignited its main engines for the first time in 400 years. The entire station trembled with the power. "Do you think they'll understand?" she asked quietly. "That we're not seeking revenge, just recognition?" Marcus was silent for a moment, remembering the histories his grandfather had passed down. Stories of humanity's fall, of the wars that had scattered them, of the long silence that followed. "They mocked us for being divided. They laughed at our conflicts. But in that silence, Sophia, we found something they never expected. Unity," she finished. "Unity," he confirmed. Lieutenant James Holt burst onto the observation deck, his young face flushed with excitement. "Commander Reeve." The fleet reports ready status. All 2,000 vessels have achieved operational capacity. Marcus exchanged a glance with Sophia. 2,000 warships. Humanity had spent 4 centuries in the shadows, building, preparing, unifying under a single purpose. The galaxy thought them extinct. They would learn otherwise. "Assemble the command staff," Marcus ordered. "It's time." An hour later, Marcus stood before holographic displays showing every ship captain in the hidden fleet. Thousands of faces looked back at him, human faces of every shade and origin, united under one banner. For 400 years, we have been shadows, Marcus began, his voice carrying across the quantum network. The galaxy erased us from their records. They made our name a joke, a cautionary tale about species too stubborn to survive. He paused, letting the weight settle. But we did survive. In silence we rebuilt. We put aside the divisions that nearly destroyed us. We became what they never expected. One people, one purpose, one voice. His hands clenched into fists. Today the shadows take form. Today humanity returns not as scattered tribes, but as an armada. The galaxy will remember our name. The response thundered back from 2,000 ships. Humanity endures. Sophia watched from the command center as the fleet began to move. Massive dreadnoughts pulled free from their docks, followed by carriers that could swallow cities, cruisers bristling with weapons, and countless fighters that swarmed like silver insects. Marcus joined her at the tactical display. For a brief moment, their hands touched over the console. She looked at him, seeing not just the commander but the man beneath, someone who carried the weight of their entire species on his shoulders. "When this is over," she whispered, "what do we become?" Marcus intertwined his fingers with hers, a gesture hidden from the bustling crew around them. "Whatever we choose. That's the point of freedom, Sophia. We get to decide our future." The fleet accelerated, engines burning bright against the darkness. They moved with perfect precision, each ship knowing its place, each captain understanding their role. No chaos, no confusion, only the disciplined advance of a force that had waited centuries for this moment. On the bridge of the Prometheus Ascendant, Marcus gave the final order. "Transmit our presence. Let the galaxy know we're coming." Across 1,000 systems, sensors began detecting the impossible, a human armada emerging from the void. The declaration, the transmission reached every corner of the galaxy simultaneously, on council worlds, trading stations, colony outposts, and military installations. Screens flickered to life, showing a single human face. Marcus Reeve looked into the camera with calm authority, his uniform dark against the star-filled backdrop. When he spoke, his words carried 4 centuries of silence. "We are humanity. You thought us extinct. You made our name a legend, a joke told to children. But legends do not die. They wait." In the Galactic Council chamber, Speaker Morthak watched the transmission with growing horror. Around him, delegates who had laughed at Tavron mere weeks ago now sat frozen in terror. "We do not come seeking war." Marcus continued, his voice steady. "We come reclaiming what was always ours, respect. Earth and her children will never kneel again. Leave us in peace, and perhaps this galaxy may endure. Cross us," he paused meaningfully, "and your fleets will burn." The transmission ended, leaving only shocked silence. Ambassador Telvin, a diplomat known for his calm demeanor, rose on shaking limbs. "Speaker Morthak, we must negotiate. If even half the intelligence reports are accurate, humanity commands forces that could what?" Morthak snapped, though his voice cracked. "Destroy us all? Then why haven't they?" "Because," old Captain Drevik spoke from the back of the chamber, "they are proving a point. They want us to fear, to understand what we lost when we dismissed them. The humans I fought were never mindless destroyers. They were strategic, patient." He paused. "And now they've had 400 years to perfect that patience." Aboard the Prometheus Ascendant, Marcus retreated to his private quarters, feeling the weight of the day pressing on him. The door chimed softly and Sophia entered without waiting for permission. "The transmission was perfect," she said, but her eyes held worry. "Marcus, what if they don't back down? What if they force us into the war we're trying to avoid?" He turned to her, and for the first time since the fleet awakened, he let his guard down. "Then we fight, and we win." "But God, Sophia, I don't want that. I don't want to be remembered as the commander who drowned the galaxy in blood." She crossed the room, taking his hands in hers. "Then we won't be. We'll be the ones who reminded them that humanity can be more than warriors." Marcus pulled her close, resting his forehead against hers. In the quiet of his quarters, with the armada spreading through space around them, they found a moment of peace. His lips brushed hers gently, a promise of hope amid uncertainty. "When this is over," he whispered against her mouth, "I'm going to show you Earth. The real Earth, not the ruins the galaxy remembers." "We've been rebuilding her too," Sophia smiled. her fingers tracing the line of his jaw. Is that a future you see? One where we get to be more than soldiers? It's the future I'm fighting for. They held each other as the ship hummed around them. Two people carrying the hopes of their entire species, finding strength in shared warmth. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the human fleet continued its advance. Not attacking, not destroying, simply being present. Their shadow fell across system after system, a reminder that humanity had returned. On a small colony world, a young girl named Mira looked up at the night sky with her father. "Papa, what are those lights?" Her father, a farmer who had lived his whole life believing humans were myths, stared at the massive ships overhead. "Those, little one, are what happens when legends come home." The new dawn 3 months after the declaration, the galaxy had transformed. The Galactic Council, once arrogant in their certainty, now sat across negotiation tables from human representatives. The talks were tense, careful, but they were happening. Tavern found himself vindicated, but not celebrated. He sat in the Grand Archives reviewing the agreements being drafted, when Marcus Reeve entered unannounced. "Historian Tavern," Marcus said, offering his hand in the human greeting. "I wanted to thank you. Without your research, without your refusal to let our memory die, this reunion might have been bloodier." Tavern clasped the offered hand, marveling at the warmth of human skin. "I simply followed the evidence, Commander. Though I admit I never imagined the scale of what I'd find." Marcus smiled sadly. "We had to rebuild everything. Our cities, our ships, our entire civilization. But most importantly, we had to rebuild ourselves, our unity, our purpose." He gestured to the data scrolling past. "These treaties will ensure our worlds remain sovereign. No more jokes, no more dismissal." "The Council fears you," Tavrin observed. "Good. Fear breeds respect, but we don't want them to fear us forever." Marcus turned to leave, then paused. "Join us, Tavrin. Someone needs to write the true history of this reunion. I can think of no better scholar." Aboard the Prometheus Ascendant, Sophia stood in the engineering bay, watching as Lieutenant Holt and his team performed routine maintenance. The young officer had grown in these months, his excitement tempered by the reality of their situation. "Chief Engineer Winters," Holt called out, "the Council wants to send inspection teams to verify our fleet numbers." "Are we really going to let them?" "We are," Sophia confirmed. "Transparency builds trust. Besides, knowing our strength will help prevent foolish decisions." She made her way to the observation deck where Marcus waited. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching Earth grow larger in the viewport. The planet was still healing from centuries of war and abandonment, but green was returning to her continents, blue to her oceans. "We're actually going home," Sophia whispered, leaning into Marcus's embrace, his arms wrapped around her waist, chin resting on her shoulder. "We never really left, just went quiet for a while. Do you think this peace will last?" Marcus considered carefully. "I think we've reminded the galaxy that humanity exists, that we matter. Whether peace lasts depends on mutual respect. We've shown our strength. Now we show our wisdom." Below them, shuttles were already ferrying the first wave of colonists back to Earth. Families who had lived their entire lives in hidden stations would finally walk on grass, feel rain, breathe unfiltered air. On that small colony world where young Mira had first seen the human ships, life continued with newfound awareness. The human fleet had passed overhead without firing a shot, leaving only the memory of their presence. Mira's father taught her the new facts in school. Humanity was real, powerful, and seeking coexistence. "Will they hurt us?" Mira asked one evening. Her father knelt beside her, choosing his words carefully. "They could, little one, but they haven't. They're showing us that strength doesn't have to mean violence." That's a lesson worth learning. In the council chamber, Speaker Morthak signed the Treaty of Recognition with a shaking appendage. Captain Drevik watched from the gallery, a satisfied expression on his scarred face. The galaxy had learned its lesson without drowning in blood. Marcus and Sophia stood on Earth's surface for the first time in their lives, feeling wind on their faces and dirt beneath their boots. Around them, the ruins of ancient cities were being reclaimed, transformed into something new. "Commander Reeve," a young voice called out. A human child ran toward them, born in the hidden stations but now playing on Earth's soil. She held up a flower, one of the first to bloom in the reclaimed gardens. Marcus took it gently, then handed it to Sophia. "For the future we're building." Sophia held the delicate flower, tears streaming down her face. It's perfect. Above them, the human fleet maintained orbit, not as conquerors, but as guardians. The galaxy had remembered what it meant to fear humanity. Now it would learn what it meant to respect them. In his quarters, Marcus recorded a final message to be added to the historical archives. We vanished because we were broken. We returned because we healed. Let this be the lesson. Unity is not the absence of difference, but the strength found in choosing to stand together. Humanity endures not through conquest, but through persistence. We are here. We are home. And we are finally at peace. The transmission ended. Earth turned slowly beneath a sky filled with human ships, each one a testament to survival, to patience, to the refusal to be forgotten. The galaxy had laughed at humanity. Now it watched with respect as the shadows became light, as the extinct returned to life, as the joke became a promise. Humanity would never be erased again. And in the quiet spaces between stars, where silence once reigned, the name human was spoken not in mockery, but in reverence. The new dawn had arrived.